So I've been playing guitar since I was 13 years old. Whenever I had spare time after school, I had a guitar in my hands. And when I couldn't have a guitar in my hands, like when I was in school, I was thinking about playing guitar or writing songs for my band. If that sounds a little bit obsessive, it probably was, but that's just how much I loved playing guitar and being in a band. Really, I think it was my identity. Guitarist was the default way that I would describe myself. And that was true for the first 34 years of my life. I started my band Doth, got assigned to Roadrunner and Century Media. We played with bands like Lamb of God, Slayer, and Behemoth, did Ozfest, put out music videos, and guitar was the vehicle for all of that. It was the centerpiece of my whole life. But eventually, I noticed myself playing less and less. And when I was playing, I wasn't enjoying it as much as I used to. And then playing less turned into not playing at all. And eventually I realized it had been 8 years without playing. Not casually playing, not I just noodle around sometimes by myself, nothing. And when I finally picked it up again, it was fucking brutal. It was like I just couldn't play anymore. I basically had dead hands, but there was something inside me that said I couldn't let it go. I needed to be a guitarist again. So I rehabbed myself and relearned guitar, kind of like someone relearning to walk after a brutal car accident. And after 3 years, I'm legitimately better than I was in my 20s. And it wasn't an accident. It's a very specific approach to learning and practice that I also use to learn mixing, shooting, and even get my band signed. It's a method you can use to learn anything, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use it to dramatically improve your guitar playing. But in case you don't know me, I'm Eyal Levi, CEO of URM Academy. I've been a producer and guitarist in my band Doth since 1999, and this is how I approached all those things. Essentially, the idea is to approach it how an athlete would if they were training for some big upcoming competition. 1. Learn from the best. I took lessons from guitar monsters like Wes Hawk, Ian Way, Jason Richardson, Brandon Ellis, and Dave Davidson. 2. Track everything, like what tempo I played an exercise at on which date to see how I was progressing over time. 3. Structured practice, not just noodling. I divided my practice into 5-minute blocks with step metronome exercises, which again, I track just like I mentioned. And 4, record and review. If you want the truth, record yourself and listen back. It's way too easy to fool yourself when you're just playing alone. Now, there's a lot of important details I'll get to in a minute about the spreadsheet I used, the exact metronome exercises, and what I included in those 5-minute blocks. But before I go in depth into the system, I want to explain exactly why I created it, because context is really important to understanding exactly why it works. So first off, I got to say, I was never obsessed with guitar just for the sake of guitar. There are people who love the instrument itself. They'll sit and play for hours and hours and hours just because they love the act of playing. That was never me. Guitar was my vehicle. It was a tool. It was how I expressed myself. It was how I built songs. It's how I established my career. But it wasn't a religion for me. My peak, before I started playing again, both technically and creatively, was the period around the Concealers album, Avalanche of Worms, and the self-titled Doth record up through my time at Audio Hammer Studios. So roughly 2008 through 2014. And in that stretch, I felt dangerous. My picking felt strong, my stamina was high, and my writing felt sharp. And here's a key detail. I was actually still improving when I stopped playing. I was recording bands constantly. I was taking on sessions. I was pushing my playing because I had to. So this wasn't a decline. This wasn't a failure. This wasn't an I can't hang. It was something else. There was just a block. I felt like I had expressed what I wanted to express on guitar. I'd pick it up and nothing excited me. Everything felt like a variation of something I'd already done. And I couldn't shake the feeling that I was just recycling my same old bullshit constantly. It felt repetitive. It felt predictable, and I felt like I was basically doing a caricature of myself instead of discovering something new. And because I'm not the type of person who plays just to play, once the mission disappeared, the motivation went with it. There wasn't a dramatic moment. I mean, I never announced that I was quitting. I just played less and less. And then eventually a year had gone by and I didn't miss it. And that's key. I did not miss it. People assume you'd feel loss, regret, or guilt. Well, I didn't. Actually, what annoyed me is when other people would try to convince me that I should. But when it comes to doing things, I'm either in or I'm out. And I was out. Around the same time, I stopped producing too. I'd spent years recording bands. I'd seen the inside of studios constantly, and that no longer excited me either. What did excite me was building URM Academy, teaching, growing, building systems, and studying how elite people operate. Before I go any further, I wanted to mention the brand new URM Academy iOS app, which is out now in the App Store. Log in with your URM account and you can access Nail the Mix, Mix Labs, and Fast Tracks. It's also great for Riff Hard because you can zoom in on the notation, and use the built-in metronome, which includes presets for all of the schedule exercises. Just tap on the lesson and it'll set the metronome automatically. And last but not least, you can also download videos to your device to watch offline for those of you that have a long commute, travel, or anything like that. It's in the App Store as URM Academy. There's also a link in the description of this video, or you can scan the QR code on the screen right now. All right, so what made me come back? It definitely was an inspiration or some nostalgic fantasy. I got injured. In September 2021, I got COVID, and it actually wasn't that bad, except the coughing was extremely violent. And as stupid as it sounds, like it's embarrassing to say this, I actually wrecked my lower back in one of those ultra-violent coughing fits. I think they call it an SI joint disorder or something. Anyways, it hurt a lot. I could barely walk. Up until that point, I was working out constantly. If you train regularly, you know what happens when you suddenly stop. You get depressed, anxious, and restless. I had all this energy and nowhere to put it. Guitar seemed like an obvious choice. It was something I could do that was very physical, and I didn't have to walk around to do it. I had actually avoided picking up a guitar for several years because I knew exactly what would happen. If I picked it up, it would take over my brain because I'm an extremist and I don't do things casually. So when I did actually pick it up, it wasn't a let's see what happens. It was a we are definitely doing this shit. But like I said at the beginning of this video, I was basically starting from zero and I was not willing to take 10 years to get good. I wanted to get as good as possible in the shortest amount of time as possible while still keeping up at work. Meaning, I couldn't just lock myself in a room for 6 months and practice 10 hours a day. It's funny, some people around me acted like, oh, it's cute that he's playing again, or like I was picking up some hobby, because for me, it was dead serious. And that's because I know what's possible. Growing up, my dad, who's a symphony conductor, would have his friends come by the house to practice. Say that there was an insane pianist like Andre Watts or violinist like Pinchas Zuckerman that he was doing a weekend of concerts with. They would come to our house and practice right in our living room for hours on end. Getting to see the absolute best in the world do their thing in your formative years, well, it does something to you. Then I had the good fortune of having all-out virtuosos like Emil Wursler and Rafael Trujillo in my band. I've made a record with Sean Reinert, R.I.P. I've been on tour with Necrophagist. I've recorded some of the best players in the world, like James Malone from Osiris and Charles Caswell. I've mixed for Jason Richardson and Gus G. I've produced lesson series on Riff Hard for players like Wes Hawk, Dean Lamb, and Dan Sugarman. I know what's possible, and I knew that I wasn't going to be fine with just being okay. I was going to adopt the mindsets and tactics that these freaks of nature use in their own playing. And that is why I built a system. I treated it like athletic training. Metal is athletic. Downpicking entire songs at high tempos is not a casual thing. When I decided to take the instrument seriously again, the first thing I had to do was check my ego at the door. I didn't just sit in my room, pull up random tabs, and guess at what I was doing wrong. Instead, I took real, world-class instruction from some of the very best players on earth. Guys like Wes Hawk, Ian Way, Jason Richardson, Brandon Ellis, and Dave Davidson. And what does getting instruction from these guys actually look like in practice? It's not about just learning a few cool tricks to show off online. It's about completely deconstructing and rebuilding your core mechanics. For example, I honestly didn't even remember what my pick grip used to be, but I was much more deliberate about it this time around. I took lessons from Wes Hawk and learned his pistol grip method, and that fundamentally changed my picking hand for better. And that's just one example. I also use the Riff Hard Schedule, which is a weekly, bi-weekly guitar workout program we have on the Riff Hard site. It's a practice routine built from our entire lesson library. For example, if you want to learn legato, you'll get a schedule with lessons by Wes, Jack Gardner, Tom Quayle, and Rafael Trujillo. I followed the schedule religiously, and I actually built a bunch specifically for myself. I tracked everything. I had a spreadsheet that tracked my tempo ranges on specific dates using a color coding system to measure how difficult an exercise felt. Based on the color, the spreadsheet dictated whether I bumped up the tempo range the next day, kept it where it was, or brought it down. As you can see here, I was doing schedule number 109 on November 29th, exercise 4 from that. Looks like my tempo range was 75 to 160, but I got a red, all right? Red, which means that it was too fast. I might have been hurting myself. So I took a few days off of that exercise. And then next time I went at it, I reduced the tempo a little bit. And I got yellow, which meant caution. So I went to 145. And 145 meant stay at that tempo. So as you can see, 145, 145. I just wanted to see 152 a few days later, and I put orange, which meant stay at that tempo. And that's basically how this worked. This green right here means that these dates were done on a different one of these tabs. So prep, right? It says prep right here. So I'm pretty sure that prep was recording prep right here, which is a whole other one of these spreadsheets where it's a bunch of exercises, dates, and tempo ranges. And as you can see, this spans a long period of time. I also had a different one pre-writing the last Doth album with its own series of exercises, also exercises for the songs, and then post-album as well. I get obsessed with this stuff. If you aren't tracking your progress, you're just grinding blindly. If I'm not measuring progress, I feel like I didn't even do the work. This is a fantastic way to practice, and if you haven't tried it, you need to. I practice using a timer with a step metronome, meaning the tempo automatically increases over a set period. For example, to rebuild my downpicking stamina, I would take a shifting accent exercise. I'd set the metronome super slow, like 120 BPM for eighth notes. I'd set the timer for 15 minutes, and I'd program the metronome to ramp up gradually over the 15 minutes, finishing around 190 or 200 BPM. This works because it forces you to play slow and be perfectly clean. But because you're playing close to 15 minutes straight, it aggressively builds your stamina, and at the higher ends, it's also building up your speed. By the 10-minute mark, the tempo is up there and your arm is really starting to burn. Do that for a month and your stamina is going to be way better. I use that metronome with that method for literally everything I want to get good at, whether it's a riff from a song, whether it's lead exercise, doesn't matter what it is. If there's something that I'm struggling with or just something I want to get faster at or just more solid with, that's how I do it. And the range doesn't always have to be, super slow to super fast. It can be a 20 BPM range. It can be a 10 BPM range. It can be 5 minutes. It can be 15 minutes. It can be 30 minutes. Doesn't matter. Point is, this method works for everything. Instead of sitting down and obsessing over one technique until my arm fell off, I spread out the load. I divided my practice into 5-minute increments for about 40 minutes to an hour. I basically did whatever the schedule told me to do. 5 minutes of down picking, 5 minutes of alternate picking scales, 5 minutes of sweep picking. I knew that 5 minutes wouldn't get me world class on any one technique, but I was starting from zero and I needed everything back. Now, to be clear, I didn't just do 5-minute blocks. Sometimes they were 10, 15, 20 minutes, just depending on how much time I had available that day. But the point is, I was deliberately covering multiple relevant techniques. If you want the truth, record yourself and listen back, even if it's just on your iPhone voice memo app. You don't have an accurate picture of what you actually sound like. At first, recording myself showed me just how shitty I sounded, but it kept me honest. There's no room for delusion if you're honestly checking your own results. Assess yourself constantly. When I came back, I discovered some major flaws in my old technique, primarily related to tension. I used to hurt myself a lot playing guitar back in my 20s, and this time around I promised that I would not hurt myself. I paid really close attention to tension and stopped whenever I felt myself burning out or muscling through a part unnecessarily. If a string skipping arpeggio stretch was too wide and risky, I didn't force it at the bottom of the neck. I'd play it higher up the fretboard where the stretch is smaller and gradually move it down as I got comfortable. And here's the part that surprised me. I didn't just get back to where I was before I stopped. I surpassed it. My theory is that it's because I combined structured athletic training with a more mature ear. Years of observing elite players and producers had an effect. I spent the last decade studying it and taking it in, so when I rebuilt with awareness. I knew that if you play fast but sloppy, you're not fast, you're sloppy. I also stopped blocking myself with limiting beliefs. I always used to assume that there were those players and then there was me and that I would never be able to do what they do. But coming back, I realized that I had no actual proof of that because I had never tried to systematically play what they play. This time around, I decided not to hold myself back with any assumptions and just go for it. And now my rhythm is better, my picking is cleaner, my stamina is stronger, and I'm writing the best riffs of my life. So some final takeaways. If you haven't played seriously in years, here's the truth. You're gonna suck at first. Your stamina and coordination will disappear fast. Expect to lose your speed and your mental quickness on the fretboard. Your skill can be rebuilt. Because you played before, you already have the mental model of how to get good. Your ear keeps growing even when your hands stop. If you kept listening critically to music, then your musical judgment will have matured. The older version of you can outwork the younger version. You have better tools, better systems, and more patience now. The biggest mistake that returning players make is getting discouraged by how bad they sound and quitting again. You have to be willing to suck again. You just need to accept it. Tell that voice in your head that says that you're too old or that your best days are behind you to shut the fuck up. Sit down with the metronome and put in the work. All right, that brings us to the end of another one. Have you ever taken a break from playing and come back to it? Or do you feel like you don't know how you're going to get better? What's your biggest challenge on your instrument or in mixing? Let me know in the comments. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, like I said, and we'll see you next time.